back with more Game of Thrones. This is episode 2 of season 8, and I'm very excited. Also, extremely nervous to get into this next episode. Really loved the premiere. There's lots of really cool moments like Dany and Jon riding the dragon, stuff like that. And then with that ending, with Jaime turning up and Bran was there just giving him that weird stare that we all know and love. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next and how they're going to continue this kind of build up to the big battle we've been waiting for like 8 years. It's going to be crazy, but yeah, I don't know exactly what to expect from this episode, which is exciting. So without further ado, let's waste no time and just get right into it.
Your sister pledged to send her army north.
She did.
I don't see an army. I see one man with one hand.
Everything I did for my house and my family. I'd do it all again.
The things we do for love.
But I know Sir Jaime. He is a man of honour.
Yes!
You vouch for him.
I do.
If you can't help me take it back, I'll find another hand who can.
Whoa.
I know Death. He's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this one. My weapon.
I'll get right on it.
Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath.
You won't be able to help us in this fight if I let them murder you first.
What about afterwards?
How do you know there is an afterwards?
That's the spirit.
Maybe after I'm dead, I'll march down to King's Landing and rip her apart.
We have never had a conversation last this long without you insulting me. Not once.
You want me to insult you?
No.
Good. I came to Winterfell because
He loves you.
I'd be honoured to serve under your command, if you'll have me.
You're advising me to forgive the man who stole the position.
I have.
Mm.
And one other suggestion, if you'll allow me. The moment we can get the last infantry out.
He's so whipped.
My war was against them. Until I met Jon. Now I'm here, half a world away, fighting Jon's war alongside him. Tell me who manipulated whom. He's only the second man in my life I can sit back at. Who was the first? Someone taller.
What about the North?
Oh dear.
Apologies, my lady. I want to fight for Winterfell, Lady Sansa. If you'll have me.
He's dead.
I'm going to be in the crypt with my son, and I'd feel a lot better with you down there to protect us.
I'm sure a lot of people would.
All right, I'll defend the crypt then.
Little crow. I thought we lost you. The big woman's still here.
We're not leaving you alone out there.
You won't be. I'll stay with him. With the Ironborn. I took this castle from you. Let me defend you now. We're all going to die.
Basically.
But at least we're there together.
It's a long story.
If only we were trapped in a castle. In the middle of winter with nowhere to go.
I'd like to see the beaches again.
and I will take you there.
My people are peaceful.
Oh God.
We cannot protect ourselves.
Oh, he's dead then,
My
isn't
people are not peaceful.
he? Ghost.
They told her yet, if you want to join them. To protect them. Everyone seems to forget that I was the first man to kill a White Walker. I've killed Fens. Fen. I've saved Gilly more than once.
Half a cup.
And you?
No, thank you. I should try and get some sleep.
Me.
Join us. Brought my own.
What a collection of characters.
You King Killer. That's how I got so strong. Giant's milk.
Oh, Jesus.
We'll have that drink. So I hope you're not about to give a sermon. Because if you are, the Lord of Light's going to wonder why he brought you back 19 times just to watch you die when I chuck you over this fucking wall.
I'm not spending my final hours with you two miserable old shits.
I didn't keep count.
Yes, you did.
3.
We're probably going to die soon.
I think it's about to be 4. Well, this has been a long time coming. Pardon the pun.
Women can't be knights.
Why not?
Tradition.
Fuck tradition.
I didn't even want to be a knight.
Any knight can make another knight.
Knight her.
I'll prove it. Kneel.
We're all running now. I think he's going to chop her head off and kill him.
That's funny.
In the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. Arise, Brienne of Tarth, a knight of the 7 kingdoms.
If anyone's earned that.
We should have a glass of wine now.
Maybe.
All we need to win this war.
At least she'll die at night.
I wish you good fortune, cousin.
Thank you, my lady.
Oh, of course. She's a Mormon, isn't she?
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
The honor if you take. One of you must know one. The devil? You'll pray for a quick death.
But been gone for so very long.
Feeling feels.
So the last thing she did, as she bled to death on her birthing bed, was give the boy to her brother. Ned Stark. To raise as his bastard. My name. My real name. Is Aegon Targaryen.
It's impossible. You'd have a claim to the Iron Throne.
Jesus. I can't wait a week. No. Tears will be shed next week. I was getting emotional in that one.
It's not going to be pretty next week.
No. think we're going to lose a lot of big names. Okay, that was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I don't even know what to say. It actually got quite emotional for me near the end. Well, there's quite a few emotional moments I think throughout, particularly with like Brienne getting knighted and stuff. But that ending when Podrick was singing, and then we've got the montage of all these characters that we've grown to know and love over the years, and next week we're probably going to see them all get their heads cut off or something, and they're all going to die miserably and horribly. So yeah, it's really starting to hit that this is it, this is wrapping up, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to this show yet, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to a lot of these characters, and next week I think it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. This was like the calm before the storm, I feel, this episode, and a really good example of it. But yeah, I say storm, it's probably going to be like a bloody hurricane. My god, next week's going to be brutal. I believe next week is the longest episode of the series, well, the season, I should probably say. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also not, because we're going to have Avengers Endgame and that in the same week, and we're going to be losing a lot of characters I love, I think, this week. But yeah, overall, this was a great episode. I loved the kind of character development that we were getting. A lot of characters had like these great moments to shine, and they paired up loads of different characters in loads of different scenes, and I think they worked really, really well. You know, like Tyrion and Bran, Arya and the Hound and Bendrick and everything like that. They paired like loads of different characters together. Even like Gilly, she had a scene, a couple of different characters that I really appreciated. And then we had like the obvious ones like Jon and Daenerys having a scene near the end, and Dany and Sansa, stuff like that. Jaime and Tyrion, we had like the obvious ones, and we had absences as well because Cersei wasn't in this episode. But I loved how many characters were paired with so many different combinations. Just like that big room full of like Tormund and Brienne and Podrick and Jaime and Tyrion and Davos. I loved that kind of sequence of all of them together. Quite a funny episode. Again, last week's episode had quite a few funny moments, and I think that was the same here. The Hound had quite a few funny lines, so did Arya. Tyrion as always. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to make it out alive. Probably all two of them by the end of next week's episode, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I think we're going to lose some big names next week. I'm nervous. Will we see Cersei? Will she be absent again? I don't know. When's Melisandre going to show up? The Red Woman? She's got to come back at some point, surely. But yeah, I'm just thinking ahead next week. I'm not focused on this one. Yeah, there are just so many great character moments and reflections on like, oh, do you remember back in the day when we were like this? Basically the character's way of saying, you know, we're going to die next week. Let's just talk about how we used to be. We definitely had a lot of that from like Jaime and Tyrion, which made me nervous. And also Theon. But we'll see what happens. I also feel like I'm kind of nervous about Bran now, given the position he's going to put himself in next week. I assume the battle is next week. That's the rumour, but I don't know for sure. My dad did say, what if next week's episode is just all Cersei, which would be quite funny. Just get an absolute troll, or like, it's literally just some random things for the next 3 episodes, and then we get the battle in the last one. I doubt they do that. But yeah, I just really loved how they took the time in this episode to showcase how far a lot of these characters have come and how much these relationships have changed. Like Jaime, I think he was one of the stars of this episode. I loved him, like knighting Brienne, Basically, kissing Brienne's arse, as you should. Man, I love those two together. Oh. And I think Jamie's had one of the best character developments on the show. His arc's been so good, because I used to detest him, now I love him, and if he dies, I will probably cry. I think he's going to die. So yeah, I love that they kind of started this episode out with that. It started with Jamie kind of being on trial almost. And we nearly got an agreement with Sansa and Daenerys, and they nearly patched things up again later in the episode, but then that whole thing with Dany taking the throne, the North won't like that. I don't know how to feel about that whole situation. There's so many things going on in my head. So yeah, I loved Jamie kind of being allowed in and Brienne standing up for him and their interactions. I've always loved that. It's one of my favourite things about, was it season 2 or was it season 3? When they were spending a lot of time together. That's one of my favourite things about that season. And I just adored their interactions, and Jamie knighting Brienne, she really earned that as well. That was such an emotional moment for me. I was like, so yeah, that was great. And then the tension that we kind of got between Jon, Daenerys and Sansa throughout the whole episode. I really liked the scene with Daenerys and Sansa, when they were kind of talking things through, and they were starting to finally get along, and then boom, Dany's like, yeah, I'm going to take the Iron Throne after all this is over. And Sansa was like, you're going to do what now, bitch? So yeah, I really don't know how to feel. I don't know who I want to end up on the Iron Throne. I really have no idea. Because I want to say, oh, Jon, or oh, Daenerys, but I feel like that's too obvious, so it's not going to happen. I don't know. Whatever I want to happen, it's not going to happen. That's kind of the rule, isn't it? But yeah, I found the scene between those two very, very interesting. Because I think it is true. I think Dany does get a lot of shit by a lot of people, I think. For being like selfish and she's only thinking of the throne. But I think if that were 100% true, like she said, she wouldn't have joined Jon and gone to Winterfell at all. I mean, she's made it clear she wants the Iron Throne, it's not like she's being sneaky about that. Maybe she's a bit harsh on Tyrion. But I suppose I'm not really sure she understands, like, having your family be a weakness, considering, the only family she really knew in her life was her brother, and he was a dick. So maybe she just doesn't understand that kind of familial bond with people, which could also put her at odds with Sansa as well. Maybe that's why they don't quite see eye to eye a lot of the time. But yeah, I do think she gets a lot of hate. But in my opinion, I don't think she entirely deserves that. But that's the beautiful thing about this show. Everyone's on the different person's side, really. Everyone loves a different character more than the rest. Everyone hates different characters. I think that's what makes it so interesting. I think that's why it's become such a phenomenon in the show, because you can root for so many different people. Which is why I think the battle in the spoils of war last season was so interesting, because there'd be people rooting for Dany, there'd be people rooting for Jamie's side, and that was really interesting for me because I loved both of those characters. And yeah, hopefully there won't be people rooting for the Night King in the next battle. If there are people who root for that, then are you okay? I mean, it would be interesting. It'd be a hell of a thing if Night King literally wins, and that would be quite something. Anyway, I'm rambling. Yeah, I loved Tyrion as well in this episode, and Jorah. Jorah was kind of an MVP as well, what he was saying to Dany about forgiving Tyrion for his stupidity. And Tyrion's interactions with like Bran and everyone, I really liked that in this episode, and his scenes with Jamie as always were great. And then Jorah, Jorah's scenes with Sam when Sam gave him his sword, loved that. They're both dead. I just really appreciated how this episode spotlighted so many different individuals and gave them a moment to shine. Even Podrick got a moment to shine right at the end of the episode because he got to sing. He's got a very good voice. And we saw that Podrick's become a lot better of a fighter as well. And yeah, that montage with Podrick singing over it, I was like, It reminded me of the Telltale game If you played the Telltale Game of Thrones season 1, I think it was the end of episode 2, there's kind of like a funeral scene and there's a song playing over that, and that got me quite emotional as well. It reminded me a lot of that. But yeah. So I loved all of those moments. I liked Theon coming to join the battle and him kind of reuniting with Sansa. I thought was really nice as well. Again, another showcasing of the character, seeing how far they've come. The fact that he wanted to fight for the Starks, I love that so much. And yeah, Sansa and Dany's scene I mentioned, loving that. Bran and Jaime, I think that was one of the things I was most excited for going into this episode, given the ending of the last one. Jaime kind of seeking forgiveness from Bran, but Bran isn't around to forgive him anymore, because I think Bran's long gone, which is interesting. And he was just like, yeah, well, it is what it is. And he was right, you know, Bran was right. They would be very much, I think, the same people they would have been if Jaime hadn't done that at the end of the very first episode of the show. And I love that Bran used like the things we do for love. He like threw that back in Jaime's face at the start. That was funny. So yeah, I loved kind of some proper closure with that whole story that's been running for since the very beginning of the show. And then them talking about pasts as well. That was a big theme in this episode. A lot of characters will kind of talk about how if they moved on from their past or like let it go. I think Sam had a big argument about that. We'd just be animals. And so many of these characters are weighed down by what they've done in the past. Like Theon and Jaime, I think, are prime examples of that. It just makes it a very interesting thing to see if they are going to be able to let go of that past, and if they should. Because I don't know if that would spur them on in the battle against the Night King and the Army of the Dead or not. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting, playing with the idea of how much these pasts and how much the past has shaped so many of these characters. God, I have so many notes. Jesus. This show, and this isn't even the long episodes of the season. Grey Worm and Missandei talking about their future together and talking about going travelling, aka one of us is dying, maybe both of them. I think Grey Worm will go personally, since he's the one who's going to be fighting. But it was a sweet scene. I do like those two together, but I think it's going to end in heartbreak. Missandei may be able to go home and see the beaches, but I don't think she's going to be going with Grey Worm. Yeah, so again, just the pairing of characters I really liked, that they kind of revisited that relationship, however briefly, and they had a bit of a moment to themselves. I liked that a lot. And then, yeah, Tormund kind of reuniting with Jon and everyone, I really liked that. And the three remaining people from Castle Black, like Jon, Sam and Ed, talking about the ones they've lost and how their watch is beginning again. I liked that. That's a cool line. This show has always done a great job of kind of echoing back to the past, which I think is why it's interesting that this episode dealt a lot with the characters speaking about letting go of their pasts or moving forward from it. So yeah, I liked that a lot. And Tormund's interactions with everyone. He had that really funny story about him like drinking giant's milk and stuff, and that whole group of people in that room by the fireplace was just iconic. And then the Hound, he had a cool moment with Arya again. And he had a really funny line about throwing Bendrick over the wall, which made me laugh. Then, yeah, Brienne getting knighted by Jaime, emotional as hell. I loved it. Hopefully she'll survive a whole 24 hours after being made a knight, but I love that that happened for her, because Brienne's awesome. Then Daenerys finding out about who Jon really is. I love that she found out in the same room that Jon did, and he was like looking at the statue of Lyanna Stark, his mum, and obviously they didn't really have a chance to talk about what that would mean in terms of the Iron Throne, because then the Night King came and was like, hi. I don't know why the hell I did that. I don't think the Night King's going to do that when he shows up in the next episode. So yeah, I liked that whole scene, Dany finally finding out, and I can't wait for them to explore what that means. Hopefully they'll be able to explore what that means. I think I would be a bit disappointed if they don't get the chance to talk this out before one of them is brutally murdered by the Night King. So I just have this terrible feeling we're going to be losing one of them in the next episode. I don't know why. I just have an awful feeling that one of them's leaving. What got me worried was the line about can the Night King be stopped with like dragon fire? And Bran was like, well, no one's tried. And I feel like if Daenerys is going to try, maybe she's going to get killed. I don't know. I don't want anyone to die. Can they all just be happy? That's the best thing about this season so far. No one's like properly died yet. At least not a main character. Sorry for that creepy little kid in the end of the last episode. So yeah, I like that Dany found out. Hopefully they can explore the consequences of that further. Because I don't know if Jon would want the throne or not. I don't know how Dany's going to react long term to this news. If they're going to keep it quiet about who Jon really is. And would Dany easily just give up the throne for Jon? I don't think she would. But she does love him. I don't deny that. I don't know. It's a complicated thing. I can't wait to find out more about it though. That's the best thing about this show, is the unpredictability of a lot of things and a lot of character motivations and actions. I love it. Very weird thing to save to last, I suppose, but Arya and Gendry, so that's the only note I have left. I've wanted those two to be together for so long, and I was not expecting it to happen quite like this. Still feel weird when you like watch episode 1 of season 1, see how tiny Arya is, and then to see that scene. It's like, should I be looking at this? Will I be arrested? I don't know. Yeah, I'm over the moon that something happened with those two, because I've wanted that to happen for ages. I've always liked the idea of those two being together. Does Arya have a little Baratheon in her now? Who knows? Well, let's not talk about sizes. Sorry, Gendry. Yeah, so that's cool that something happened with those two, but that was quite the scene, wasn't it? I feel like they could have found somewhere a bit better to go. I mean, that's going to echo everywhere. Like, you just gave away what the hell you are doing in those crypts, but there we are. Never mind. The point I'm making is I'm glad something happened with those two. So yeah, when you talk about like this, it feels like a very mismatched kind of episode with loads of different things happening in different places, and it was all kind of over the place, but actually watching it, it felt a lot more structured and it flowed really well. But yeah, I loved the highlighting of so many different characters, talking about how far they've come since their first appearances and stuff, and how long their journeys have been. You know, then discussing like strategies for the battle, that ending that kind of gave me chills with the song, and then the army of the dead arriving at Winterfell. So many different moments. Too many to talk about really, so that's a testament to how great this episode was. Absolutely loved it. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen next week. But I'm also dreading it because I don't want to lose characters I love, but I feel like we're going to. Yeah. This time next week, who knows what state I'm going to be in, but we'll have to wait and see. Great episode. Loved it. Can't believe there's only 4 episodes left of the season. Not just the season, but the whole bloody show. Yeah, just like that, we're a third of the way through the season. Yeah, love this episode. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.